How's it going, everybody? Derek from Make Media Studios, and today I'm here with Ryan Malcolm Campbell. He is a content creator, videographer, photographer based out of Toronto, Canada. Ryan, thank you for being here with me today.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.
Hey, I'm happy to have you here. For the people out there that don't know who you are, why don't you give us a little history about what you do and who you are?
It's always tough doing this because I just made a video a couple of days ago about pivoting, and I've pivoted so many times in my life. It's like, to give you a synopsis, in somewhat of linear synopsis, I am a athlete turned business person turned creative.
Okay.
That's essentially how I basically came to what I am now. I grew up playing basketball my whole life. I went to university. I played at a high level, and I got injured in university. Due to that injury, ended up getting cut when a new coach came to the program, which also was frustrating, which made me focus on my academics. I had my business program I was already in. So I finished with a commerce degree in management. Worked in the workforce for 2.5, 3 years, working in accounting, billing, management, finance sector, all that boring business shit.
That we're told to do growing up. That's what we're.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, it was weird because I actually, when basketball was done, I actually like shifted my mentality, being like, okay, like I'm okay being like a business person. Like I'll work for a corporate company and like be a project manager. Like I started, believing that because it seemed like that was my
That's the
next,
and the rest of my life was going to be that.
Right. So I worked in that sector, did accounting jobs, billing jobs, management jobs. Good at that, but I also was one of the youngest in those fields. So I always felt out of place, like not only being the youngest, but also usually the only Black person in my jobs as well. So it just kind of felt like, I'm here, like I'm physically here, but I'm like, I don't feel like I belong in this area or like these companies at the time.
Okay.
But I put the time in. I did some great jobs, and but during that whole transition of not playing basketball and having all this free time now, I started to dive into my creative side.
Okay.
So in 2012, I started a clothing line just out of designing and drawing and stuff. Because out of boredom and frustration and depression and all that stuff, I just started drawing and just creating stuff.
It just falls on top of each other, but it creates something.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. And that over the years, I was still working, in the workforce, but I was just honing those skills and working on stuff and designing, and I was building my clothing line. It did really well, but I wasn't sure if that was the passion itself.
Okay.
It was just something to do in the meantime.
Okay.
And then I remember booking one photo shoot with a friend of mine who was a photographer at the time. Just want photos for my clothing. I'm like, I need some photos of my stuff. Like, let me book a photo shoot. I don't really have a camera like that. I didn't really know anything about photography, so I let him do it, and I caught myself in the shoot directing and organizing and placing it. And I'm like, oh no, just put them here.
Right.
Like, oh, let me just actually no, take that shot from this angle. And I was like, and I thought to myself, I was like, I only booked him because he had a camera. Like,
okay,
it's my vision, it's my idea. I just don't have a camera yet.
Right.
I'm like, I need to buy a camera. Like that. So I saved up, bought myself a camera back then, and just started practicing on friends. I was shooting everywhere. I was shooting birthday parties, barbecues, parties.
Okay.
I would literally just take photos and give it to people for free. Just kind of me practicing.
Right.
They enjoy it. It's a win-win.
Yeah.
And it evolved into me really loving, the capturing of moments, of essences, of areas, and that really what propelled me into becoming a photographer. That part of my business.
Okay.
And now years later, I quit my job, my full-time day job in 2018, February.
Okay.
So we're just heading on 3 years now.
Okay.
And I've added so many different arms to my company now. And I think everything kind of happened in progression and was necessary, as though I didn't maybe see it at the time, but working those day jobs and working for different companies and, absorbing and learning different things that I did, even though I didn't really like the jobs, I'm a very fast learner and I retain information very well. So all those things I've learned in my commerce degree and all these different things, I'm now applying that to my business now.
Right.
And I think the difference between me and, every other photographer in the city, maybe not everyone, but most, is that I have a combination of a full bachelor's of commerce degree, business experience, and the creative side all combined into one person. Usually people are creative or they're business.
Right.
And it's very rare that you have someone who's done all that path business and then went all this path creative and combine them.
Right.
And I think that's where I am now. And that's kind of how I've been able to, navigate the city, the world, and just everything I've been doing so far. So
that's cool. That's
my story.
That's your story in a nutshell.
In a big nutshell. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, having a business background, I don't have a business background, and I'm learning this whole freelance life. I'm learning on the job, right? Like I'm learning, but you were in these finance companies, in business atmospheres, watching kind of the gears turn, and you were able to use that to create your own business, or at least use some of that to influence your own business.
Right. Absolutely.
What do you, so you've been doing it for about 3 years, and I'm at about a year or two, but how is it running your own business? I saw some stuff you talking about that, how there was some, you just talked about that recently on your Instagram, I think.
I love it. I love it, man. For me, it's interesting because I didn't quit my job, or I didn't enter this space on a whim, or like, let's just see what happens. I was ready.
Right.
I was my mental was there. I already had the plans. I'm like, the day I quit, I'm doing this, that I can finally I literally quit with excitement. I quit with it, rather than a lot of people quit their jobs with like relief.
Right.
Which can be dangerous sometimes, because, it helps that they're relieved from quitting, but the relief is not what propels a company or propels your business. The relief is comfortable.
Because after the relief, there might be a realization.
Exactly.
So, if you're not ready for it.
Absolutely. So I quit with excitement. When I was quitting my job, I was like, yo, the day I quit my job, I'm going to LA. I can finally just leave if I need to. I felt like I was like released.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like rather than relieved, I felt released.
Right.
I felt like I'm like, all this tension and all these ideas and all these things I want to do, I can finally do it. I finally had the time, because that was the biggest thing, not having time. When you're creative and you're working, 9 to 5, and then you're coming home from 5 to 12 a.m. And then on the weekends you're working, and it's back to Monday again, and then you're working 9 to 5. Like, you're burning out, man. You're burning out, and all you really want is time.
Yeah.
And when you have the ideas and you have the concepts and the excitement and the drive, time is like your best friend.
Yeah.
And when I quit my job, I was like, yo, I have time. I'm like, I used to do stuff between 5 to 12 a.m.
Yeah.
And now I can do stuff from 9 a.m. all the way to 12 a.m. if I want to.
Right.
Like, or I can start at 12 p.m. and work to 12. Like, I can kind of just do what I want now, rather than like forcing all these ideas into, a 7-hour time slot after work, after I'm already tired.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, I hit the ground running. I my first trip was to LA with no plan. I'm like, I want to be in LA. I've never been before. I flew to LA when All-Star Weekend was out there.
Okay.
And I have a cousin who lives out there. So I was just like, I'm just come chill with you for a little bit. I don't know what's gonna happen, but I'm gonna come out there. I'm just gonna be out there. We ended up going to, a couple of events, because it was parties all over the place for All-Star. So went to one of these parties, ended up mingling. I'm a talkative person, social person. So, and then meeting these guys from there that, host celebrity basketball games back in New York. Start talking, like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm a photographer. I just, quit my job like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and now I'm here.
And now I'm here. I'm just, and they're like, oh, sick. Like, we had these events, blah, blah. If you'd be down to shoot it, we can try and sort that out. We'll take your contact. I was like, cool. Ended up shooting a celebrity event in New York a couple months later. And then I just said yes. I started doing stuff. I just said yes to everything. I didn't have to say like, oh, I got work. I was just open and free to do anything whenever I wanted. The times I wasn't traveling, I'm like, I can wake up at 8 a.m. and just think of ideas all day.
Yeah.
Like all day. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So like, you don't want to give me that much time.
You're dangerous with it.
It's dangerous.
But now you're using it to your advantage, which is
100%, 100%.
How do you
100%.
find that balance between, running a business? having like social media and your personal stuff, like I do my YouTube, I do my Instagram, right? But then I'm also
Yeah.
have my customers that I work for.
Hmm.
How do you find that balance?
Scheduling, man.
Yeah.
Schedule, schedule,
Mm-hmm.
schedule. Like I'm a diehard like calendar person. Like
Mm-hmm.
if I show you my calendar looks like this is what my calendar looks like
Wow.
on a monthly
Those
basis,
time
color
management
coded.
skills.
Like this is me every month. You know what I mean? Like
Hey.
I'm super organized. I'm super scheduled. If it's not on my calendar, it doesn't exist. Like that's literally how I live, man. So if someone's like, "Yo, I want to meet up. We should chill tomorrow," I'd be like, "What time?"
Yeah. I
Like,
can make a block. I can make a block right here for that.
but I'm dead. If you're not serious, like I don't have the time for it.
Yeah.
You know. So like someone's like, "Yo, we have a party and event, or I have this thing I want to do tomorrow
Yeah.
or next week." I'm like, "What time?"
Yeah.
We're not sure yet. I'm like, "Well, hit me back when you have a time."
Exactly.
Like because I can't float around. I have things I'm very militant. I am militant.
Mm.
Like I have if I meet with my girlfriend, I'm like, all right, what time tomorrow? 4 p.m.
Mm.
for until when? Okay, cool. Like,
Yep.
and it works for me. You know, I need to be that way because I'm a very disciplined person. I get things done, and I think people around me who know me understand that. So, you know, when Ryan says like he'll be there, I'm there. And when I'm like I gotta go at this time, like I gotta go. Like I've had situations where someone's not as serious about their time and they book me for something and then they were late and I'm like, cool, you can be late. I'm like, I'm still leaving at this time.
Yeah.
I actually don't care when you get here. I'm leaving here when I said I'm leaving. They're like, yo, like, I'm maybe a little bit late. I'm like, no problem.
That's fine.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm still leaving at this time. And they feel away, but I'm like, I didn't do this.
Right.
And you have made the assumption that I'm leaving with my time and I'm not.
Right.
You know, so that's on your responsibility. So they had to book more time. And I'm like, cool, book more time.
Right.
But it is what it is. So I think even being around someone like me kind of makes people more accountable, and I feel you know I can help people in that way as well. So
yeah, time management is important. I was in the Navy for 6 years. That was that was one of my
oh,
things.
so you're literally militant.
Yeah, that's what you said, militant. I'm like, I mean,
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
When we woke up every morning, we had a what's called a plan of the day or a schedule.
Mm-hmm.
They print out.
Mm-hmm.
You would have today's schedule and the next day's schedule, and that's actually one of the things that I continue like in my real life now. I have to make a schedule the night before I go to bed. I know some of the things I'm gonna be doing the next day, but I make a block out schedule. You know, from what time I'm waking up, what I'm doing. My wife helps me make the schedule. Actually, I've had to ask her to do it because it helps me.
Yeah.
It helps me a little bit if I can have her. I tell her the things I need to get done, and then she just kind of fits it all into a block schedule for me. And
I mean, in most cases, the women are more organized.
Oh yeah,
most cases.
Oh yeah,
not always.
Yeah,
but most.
It's true. Yeah. That's why I married my wife. She's more organized than I am, and she helps me.
A good team.
Exactly.
Good team.
Exactly. She's helping out with this podcast. Actually, she's kind of my producer on this. So I'm having her. I'm having her help me find people and stuff like that. She actually found your stuff and introduced me to your work. Yeah.
Oh, was your wife that found?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. My wife found your work. She actually found it because she's from Spain and she saw you went to Spain.
Oh, I went to Barcelona.
Yeah, she saw the Barcelona.
How did she see that?
I don't know. She came across it and she saw some of your content from Barcelona.
Maybe I probably tag you can. I guess you can search like by cities and stuff too now, right? Okay, so yeah, I went to Barcelona last year for my birthday.
How was Spain? Because I haven't gone yet. I've actually been married to my wife for a year, and because of COVID, I haven't been able to go to Spain yet.
It was beautiful, man. And for me, I'm a free bird, so I was like, I usually leave for my birthdays. This year, I wanted to go to Dubai this year. Obviously, it didn't work out. But yeah, like I never been to Spain before. I was like, yo, I want to go for my birthday. I'm like, where should I go? And I'm like, let's go to Barcelona. Like, why not? No one just goes to Barcelona. Like, so I was like, I'm gonna go. I went out there for about 4 days, I think, 4 or 5 days by myself and just explored, you know, and I think it's different. It's different traveling as a creator, you know, because you look at things differently. I look at people differently. I look at the city. I'm paying attention to architecture. Like I really could appreciate, you know.
Right. You kind of take in that culture as like an influence almost. You try to use that as another thing you can touch.
100%. 100%. So yeah, it was beautiful. The beach was nice. The city is nice. Architecture. I hopped on a bus and a train to the top of the mountain
Nice.
and where that church is and stuff. And like, and the thing about traveling by yourself is it's something so special about traveling by yourself because you don't have to wait on nobody. Like if I wake up at 7 a.m. and I can't go back to sleep, I'm like,
Yeah.
let's go. Let's start now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you have someone with you, you wake up, you're like, I gotta wait till this person's up and ready. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, I woke up at random time. I'm like, it's sunrise. I'm like, let's go for a walk.
Yeah.
And we go.
Yeah.
You know, so
and sunrise photography, that's the thing about being a photographer is you want to be at the sunrise and the sunset pretty much.
Exactly. Yeah, no, Spain was beautiful, man.
That's awesome. I'm excited to go there. Who are you kind of like? I was talking about influence, like influenced by travel and stuff like that. What other things influence you in your art? What do you think?
I watch a lot of movies.
A lot of movies.
I watch a lot of movies, a lot of good TV shows. I don't really watch TV shows that are like, I'm not into, like love chick flicks or like reality TV. Like I'm more into like the drama, thrillers, suspense, stuff like that. Like I loved Money Heist.
Okay.
Like stuff like that where you're just on, you're thinking, and like he's a very analytical person. Ozark. Like I love like
Ozark's good.
You know what I mean? Like I love shows that you're like, what the hell? Like you're just really into them. But I also watch movies and shows very differently than most people. I can't undo it now that it's part of my life now. It's part of my career. But like the angles they use, the lighting, the music, that this particular music for a particular scene, like I can't just watch a show or a movie and be like, let me just watch it for entertainment. I'm entertained, but like I'm analyzing nonstop. Yeah. I'm like, I like the angle. I like how this opening scene came. Oh, the person's crying. Oh, the music they chose for this while they're crying. Like, you know what I mean? So it's I have a much different experience in my head that's going on while I'm watching with somebody. So I am definitely inspired by movies and TV shows, traveling 100%. And just life in itself. A lot of my ideas, concepts come from my own experiences. The stuff I write, the quotes I write, come from my own experiences. I tend to say my quotes are me just talking to myself. They tend to apply to other people, but this is for me.
Yeah, you're giving yourself advice.
Exactly. If I post something, I'm not posting like, do you guys relate with this? I'm like, this is me talking. If you guys relate, cool.
Yeah.
But I don't post for anybody. I don't create for anybody.
That's a real way to look at it. I mean, and make things for yourself.
100%.
If you make things for yourself 100%. And you enjoy it, then other people will probably enjoy it too, Because like you enjoy content, and then if you create content that you enjoy, then there might be someone out there that wants to enjoy that as well.
Exactly.
So you're saying study television and shows. Yeah, one of the ones I just watched, The Haunting of Bly Manor, I think it was on Netflix. It was like the Halloween time just came out. It was a pretty good one. But yeah, when I watch things now, it's always just looking at those shots, seeing what they did. Like I had to pause this scene because they used a diopter. And in a shot, and it was like there was two people in the foreground, and they were both in focus, right? And I had to pause it and show my wife. I'm like, it's a diopter. That's how that works. And had to break it down, and she's like, just hit play. I want to watch the show. So
that's funny. I just realized right now that my camera is flipped. And I was just like, it's interesting.
Is it?
If I go, yeah, look, see, is it flipped for you?
Or it's just for you because it says Toronto on mine.
Really?
Yeah, it's correctly spelled.
Oh, okay. So it's just flipped. It's flipped for my view. Okay, never mind then. Okay,
that's interesting. Is that because is the monitor flipped on the side? Is that what it is?
No, I think there's like a setting in Zoom. I think the viewport. You can choose the viewport to be flipped or not. Well, let me see if I can.
Interesting.
Actually, don't worry about it. Go ahead. It's all good. I already got used to it.
I had a question about one of your. Right now you just saw you're doing some that 3D animation going on. What are you using to make that?
Cinema 4D.
Cinema 4D. It's on my computer because I think it comes along with. Is it come along with After Effects? I don't know.
Not sure.
I have it on my computer. I haven't touched it yet. But
okay.
How would you give me some advice and maybe some other people out there? Because I'm interested in like 3D modeling and doing some of that stuff in the future. I just haven't dove in. Give me a little knowledge.
It's I'm still beginning myself. So whatever you see that you're impressed by is like shit compared to where I think I could get to and what stuff I'm seeing. So to me, I'm like, yeah, this is for the level I'm at. It might look good, and I'm a firm believer of just kind of just posting your progressions.
Absolutely.
I have no problem, posting things as I grow and just teaching people and showing people the real. Like I'm nothing to hide. Like I started out. If you're following me, you just recently met me, but when I first started working on Cinema 4D in March, right when quarantine just started.
Mm-hmm.
And I was working on it like nonstop for like 3 months, and then I stopped when the quarantine kind of lifted. I started working again, got busy again, and like I tore my Achilles, and like a whole bunch of things happened, and I was like, yeah, I have no time to be working in this program, so I stopped for like that whole duration, like a good 5 months. I stopped, and I recently picked it back up last week or a week and a half ago, and I forgot everything. I was like, I don't know how to do anything. I'm back in the middle of the space. I'm looking at the empty screen. I'm like, I don't even know how to use this program. So I had to retrain myself over the last week to try and get back to the kind of the knowledge because if you don't use it, you lose it.
Right.
So I literally, I was like, I don't know how to use this program anymore. I forgot where everything was. But yeah, now it's kind of, now that I'm actively back into it, and I'm being, disciplined to make sure I work on it a little bit every day, just to kind of hone my skills every single day so I don't lose anything. When I first started, I started off with like a little circle. I was doing things with
like a ball,
a sphere.
A
sphere. Sorry. And I was just making it do stuff, kind of just doing animation, making it roll through stuff. Like I'll say some stuff later, but like I was just like all basic stuff. But like that's just kind of how I was learning. Just kind of I would sketch stuff on. I would sketch a design on paper, like a tube, and like it goes up this thing and comes down. Like I had just a whole idea in my head. I was sketching on paper, and I'll just try and design it. And that's kind of how I started. I'd sketch ideas, look at it, does it make sense on paper, and then put it into the program. It's kind of difficult to just go in the program and create.
Right. You're gonna have to have a base idea.
Yeah, like it does. You can't just.
Yeah.
You can't just go. You can't just open the program and say, "Let me just make something." Like you kind of. It really has to be. You have not planned, but structured. It's like architecture. Like you can't just look at an empty lot of ground, and just say, "Okay, guys, build." Like, build what? Like,
build what? What do you want?
Build the wall first, okay, and then like, you know what I'm saying. So you got the same way architectures build a whole house structure and everything first, and then you look at that, and then you build to that. That's kind of how you kind of get into the program. So if there's an idea you have in your head, as simple as if you're like, I want to put, a ball dropping through into a box. Okay, cool. So you
get a box.
You make a box.
Make a ball.
And then you get the ball. And then for the ball to drop in the box, what needs to happen? Like, it needs to go up. So you lift the ball up. It needs to go into the box. You move the box over, and then you make that. Like, it's literally as simple as putting an idea to the program. But you have to have an idea. You have to have a concept. Other than that, it's a lot of trial and error. There's obviously, technical sides to it. We have to kind of learn. I paid for a couple programs, a couple courses, sorry.
Okay.
That put me through like different tests and
the basics,
scenarios. Yeah, the basics of it. So I paid for a couple of those, which I needed to. I like YouTube's good, but like YouTube is scattered. It's all over the place. It doesn't really put you through a program. Doesn't really, I use YouTube, like even with my work, like my photography and videography stuff, like I use it for very specific things. I'll get it and I'll close it.
Exactly.
That's how I'm like, okay, I don't know how to, like when I first started, I'm like, how do you remove a pimple off a face?
Yeah.
I would search removing a pimple.
Right.
I would see it. Okay, cool. Close it. And then I go back to working on when I'm working. I can't just sit and watch YouTube, just watch someone do a whole thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I'm very specific on what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
I'll get it and I'll come back and I'll work on it. So yeah, advice for the program, honestly, if you have ideas, if you're, it's not a program for someone who's not creative, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like like how do you can't just make creativity.
Right.
I think you have to kind of already be a person that's like, I just want to make things. I want to just try and do stuff. Like if you're that person already, then put your ideas on paper and then try and bring them to life.
That's cool. Did you have to like, do you have to model like the people and the buildings and all that from scratch? Or is there like actual, like, can you find like 3D buildings and stuff to plug in?
So you can both.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if you saw like the Spider-Man reference thing I just did, the guy flipping. So I modeled the buildings. I made all the buildings. I made the windows in it and like all those the lighting come out. I did all that myself.
Okay.
You can also get building models that are either built as building and then put them into your project.
Okay.
So I decided to make my own just so I felt more,
Yeah.
control over it. I'm like, I made these buildings. I put these together. I made the So I built that whole city structure. The model, I download the model itself, but how it works is you download the model, but it's not doing anything. So there's different actions the model can do.
Okay.
So I watched the Spider-Verse scene over and over again and kind of like watched the movements.
Okay.
And he started like a crouch, then he jumped, and he leapt, then he twirled,
And then he,
the flip, sorry,
yeah.
and then he dove, and then he went. So there's about like 4 or 5 different motions. So I started looking for those actions. So I looked for a crouching action, a jumping action, a flipping action, and then a diving action.
Got it.
Right. And then you get all those actions individually, and you have to
Put them
time and merge them properly so that they make sense. Because
you don't want to jerk.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Individually, they're all doing their own thing. So I have to kind of put them together, cut them so that they're timed as like.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes. So he doesn't flip, stop for a second, and then do the next motion. It has to smoothly move into that next motion.
So that's where the time comes in.
Okay.
Right. You have to zoom in, dig down, and like frame by frame, like, okay, this is a crouch. He crouches into the flip. The flip has to end about here because then he has to turn into his arms. Like, so that's where the hours come in.
Yeah.
But I don't create. You can also
create all that.
Make a whole exactly. You can also make a whole model, which because someone made those models to even download it themselves.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you can. I want to hopefully get to that point where I can make like my own. Like I can rig a whole body. It's called rigging.
Right.
So you basically have a whole model, and I would then move elbow, hand, wrist. Like that's next level, which I would love to get to eventually. But but as for now, like I've been downloading separate actions and then combine the actions and taking my time with that. Because I think once I understand that to an extent, then I can build my own person. Like, okay, that's easy. Now I know the motions and stuff. And so, yeah.
I like it. I like the 3D modeling stuff. It seems interesting. I feel like it's just, I'm actually really interested in those virtual productions right now, which I think are really cool. Like the way The Mandalorian is filmed and all that, where they're using this, the real Unreal Engine, and they're doing these LED display rooms where they're linked into the camera, and all of that like is like a whole world that I would love to learn one day, but I haven't touched it yet. One day. What I was going to ask you though is one of your videos I saw was you worked on a pizza commercial, and it had a little boy in there, and I thought that was a really good. How did that come about? Because I wanted to ask, like, did you have the idea beforehand, or I know it's hard. It's kind of difficult to work with child actors sometimes, or a child that's so
he's not an actor.
He's not an actor, but you know what I mean. But you're having him act, right? But you just kind of let him be in the moment, and you captured it, because that's what I noticed. You want to talk about that a little bit? Tell me how did that go?
Yeah, no, it went really well, much smoother than I thought, to be honest, especially working with kids.
Yeah.
I'm always good with kids.
Yeah.
I'm the oldest brother of 7. I have 6 siblings.
Okay.
So I've been used to, raising little kids, and I've always been that figure. But that project happened because there's a pizza company in Toronto called The Good Son, TO. They make great pizzas, and they're one of my clients. So they have this concept idea. The brand's called The Good Son, and their logo is like a little boy with a little curl hair.
Okay.
And the owner's son looks like him. It looks like the logo. So they're like, it was their idea, actually, not mine, to use the son in a video, just to kind of make a wholesome video, just kind of like, just use the boy that looks like their logo. That's basically what that's basically what they had. They're like, we have the boy that looks like our logo. We want to use him somehow. Maybe make him make a pizza, whatever. I was like, okay, cool. So they didn't really have a plan. Like, my job is to bring the idea out. Right. You can give me an idea, be like, okay, I want to use this boy. I want to make a pizza. don't know how it looks, but
yeah,
this is what I want.
This is the thesis
cool.
statement.
Okay.
I want this. Yeah, and it's like I'll make the rest of the essay.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a 2 camera setup for that, and
Is it
I had
2 or
one
3?
camera,
Two camera.
two
Okay.
camera. So I had one. Almost everything got shot twice,
Okay.
just to kind of keep it
For
consistent.
coverage.
So
And
I had and I had one of my cameras was on the Ronin, and the other one was a handheld.
okay.
And I basically let him be him. Like, especially for the entry scene, I was like, it'd be really cool if he just walks in and he's just kind of like lost and just in the space.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't really tell him. I just said walk in the store. I'm gonna trail you. And I think the main part that brings into the video is how low I shot it.
Yes, it felt like it was his perspective. It was you were there with him.
Exactly. So I brought it really like to his eye level, where you're kind of like looking like you're looking up.
Yeah.
To kind of see like this is the life of a kid.
Right.
It's low. Everything looks huge. Mm-hmm. So that was very important to try and make that imagery, and then the rest of it, I kind of just like, okay, if we're gonna make a pizza, like we need some type of story. Okay, he comes in,
right?
He sits down. The guy, he orders a pizza, so I shot him an angle from the pizza guy coming over his shoulder of the kid. So that was the kind of the 2 camera stuff, and then I let him make his pizza, and I kind of just went through it. Like, I think once I'm in it and I'm rolling, I'm like, okay, cool, this is next. This is the progression makes sense, right. And I'm again, the reason I say I watch so many movies and TV shows is because I'm a Nazi for continuity. Yes. Like it needs to make sense. Like if someone's hand's here, it has to still be here. This like it can't. Right. There can't be a cup in your hand one scene, the next scene it's down. Like you know what I'm saying. So like I'm very very particular about those things. So like the over shoulder shot had to be the same shot in reverse of the waitress, of the waiter coming, and like you know what I'm saying. And yeah, it came out as like a really cool, simple video. To
Are you running one of the cameras, or are you just directing?
I shoot everything myself.
You shoot everything yourself, and your second camera op? You just got a friend that you work?
No, I reshoot it with my second camera.
Okay. I thought maybe you were shooting 2 at the same time. You just had them.
No.
Okay.
No. So if you watch it, there's wide scenes and there's close scenes.
Right.
So I shot the wide scenes with the Ronin, the wide lens, and then I shot my tight scenes with my handheld and zoomed in for like closer. So like I would have him like the walk-in scene. I only shot that one time because it's just one wide scene. But the whole pizza making and like him smiling, all that kind of stuff. So like I would shoot that, and then while he's doing it, I just kind of make him still do it. I switch to my other camera, zoom in, and get kind of the similar angle. And then when I chopped it up, it's kind of there's still continuity. In the same. Yes, exactly.
And that helps out having 2 cameras set up differently. You don't have to interchange lenses. You don't have to take it off a gimbal and all that stuff.
Exactly. And it's funny. It's a funny story. So see, you get it, and that's it's funny because I have 3 cameras right now. Okay. Yeah. Which might sound crazy, but if you understand what I'm saying. Yes. So I have a camera for my photography stuff. Okay. Which is my Nikon D850. Okay. So I have that for my photos, which I love. The 850 for photos is like amazing.
I had a 750. That was my first. I started in photography. I had the Nikons. That was my go-to.
Right. I had the 750. I went up to the 850 after. Right. So the 850 is like that's the beast. That's like the beautiful. That's the Nikon camera. I got that for photos. It does do video, but it's not my video camera. Got it. Okay. I got my first Z6 for video to accompany the 850. And I was using my 850 for photos and my Z6 for video. But I would have to choose what type of video I am doing with that one camera. Because if I'm doing Ronin video, I can't do rig video. If I'm doing rig video, I can't do Ronin video. I mean, I can, but I have to take off everything. Right. Each time, rebalance my Ronin. Like, no, I got to the point. I was doing that, and I was like, this is so time consuming. It's annoying. It's stressful. I'm like, I need another Z6, and I was like, I'm gonna bite the bullet and buy my 3rd camera, and I bought 2 Z6s now. Yeah, one Z6 just stays on the Ronin, and the other Z6 just stays in the rig. Right, and that is my perfect camera setup because now I literally just put them down. I'm like, what shot do I want? This shot, okay. I
Yeah.
need this shot. Okay. Like, and it makes my workflow easier. It makes my job easier. It makes the shoot go quicker. Like spending that money made so much long-term sense.
Yeah.
I'm like, do it. Because to not want to buy cameras because, oh, it's another $3,000. I'm like, the time I am losing by continuing doing this. And now like I can take more jobs now because I'm like, okay, I can already bring my setup. What do you need done? You have this time frame? Cool. I have 2 cameras ready. That's fine.
Right.
Like it's just it really made things so much easier. So I had both cameras set up. I'm like, I want a wide shot. I want a close shot. And like scenes just were just like, you know what I mean?
Right.
So really increased my productivity. So
I agree.
I'm glad you understand.
I understand, and I'm envious because that's my goal. I'm using a Sony A7 III, and I want to get a second one, or like the A7S3. I might go to something like that, and it would be really nice to have a second camera because I have mine either in the gimbal or the rig, and that's
you have to choose.
You have to choose.
Yeah,
And the problem is, and then what happens is then you start to compromise. And you don't want to compromise.
Yes, exactly.
You're like, I'll just do it all on the gimbal.
I'll just do it all on this, exactly.
Yeah.
And then it's not what you want.
Yeah,
it's not what you want.
And that's what you're there for. You're there for that creativity, and you're there to execute. Mm-hmm. Well, hey. Thank you for being on this podcast today. It went by kind of quick, actually. We're already about the 30-minute mark. I just wanted to say I want to come out to Canada eventually. That's one of my goals. I've never been to Canada.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's
come in the summer. Don't come now.
Don't come now.
No.
How long is the summer? How many of the
short?
Huh?
Short summer.
What's the good months?
Our summer starts, if we're lucky, in like mid-May.
Okay.
If we're lucky, mid-May, it ends early September.
Okay.
Other than that, it's not fun.
Not fun. It's just a lot of editing and filming inside.
100%. Yeah. I mean, it gets like springtime is like March is spring, but that's like still around these degrees. 6, 7, 8 degrees, sometimes 12. But like our like where it's summer, where it's like the 80s for you, 85, 90s,
Mm-hmm.
that's like mid-May, June for sure.
Yeah.
I know. I mean, LA, you're spoiled. So
yeah. Oh, I just moved down here. Actually, I just moved down here in August.
Oh, okay.
I was up in the Bay Area. I was up near San Francisco, so it's not that much different, but it's still at that 300 or 400 miles. So, well, Ryan, thank you very much for coming on the podcast. We'll have to talk more in the future.
100%.
Love your content.
This is great.
Yeah,
this is great, man.
Yeah,
thank
you very much. Hey, his information is going to be linked down below in the bio. Check him out. See what he's doing. Check out his YouTube channel, his Instagram. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate it.
Yep.
We'll talk.
All right. This has been another Make Media podcast. We are out.